Welcome back to Arise Entertainment 360. Multiple Emmy-winning TV producer, radio host, executive producer, and creator of the empowering motivational show, Money Making Conversations, Rushion McDonald just may be the busiest man in showbiz.
That's right. He's also the CEO of his company, 3815 Media Inc., and he's here to unlock the secrets to success one conversation at a time. Rushion, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you. How you doing there? We get that official handshake. How you doing there?
Thank you very much. I'd like to be worshipped.
I come for the international flavor. My brand is domestic. I'm trying to get international. That is why I'm here today.
Wow.
It's going to be only a matter of time because your show is off the chain.
Off the heezy.
Well, I'm really happy about it. It started on my Facebook page. When I was managing Steve Harvey, I started managing Steve Harvey in 2000. When that kind of gave me the impetus, because my background is mathematics, and I've been corporate trained at IBM. And so I was a sitcom writer when he asked me to manage them in 2000. That allowed me to be able to build his brand through Family Feud. Got the international relationships when I did his book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. We sold 3 million worldwide. It was translated in 30 languages, and that got produced into 2 movies, Think Like a Man 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And so that allowed me to really get my brand. We launched a talk show, and 2 years ago, I decided to get a balanced life, because what happens is, and I want to tell everybody this, you can just drive that lane of success, and it's like a wheel, and you're afraid to get off. And I was afraid to get off of it. And when I got off it, I will be honest with you, I was lost as to who Rushion McDonald was.
Wow.
And it all came back to relationships, and also be defining what is your team, because you're not going to be successful if you're trying to grind by yourself.
Yep.
You got to have people who you trust, who are willing to, question you, because you can't be the genius. If you're the genius in your room, it's a pretty dumb room.
You're in the wrong room.
It's a pretty dumb room. So that's where I'm at right now with Money Making Conversation. I decided last year, just on a whim, I was going to do it just for 4 weeks, last May, and just to reintroduce myself into the, the entertainment community.
Yeah.
And I launched it in Houston, and the hurricane hit in August, basically wiped out Houston, and I moved the show to Atlanta. It's live in Atlanta, and it is off the chain.
Yes, it is. Now, we're going to focus on your relationship with Steve Harvey a bit later on.
No problem.
But let's focus on you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I want to give everybody the start, because people like to know, why y'all talking to this dude?
Well, because you're incredibly important.
Thank you very much.
I would like for you to explain to our viewers what exactly Money Making Conversations is, and what led you to create it.
Okay, basically, I communicate with CEOs, celebrities who are, it's an entrepreneurship, entertainment, radio talk show that's also very popular on podcasts. You can hear it on iHeartRadio podcast. You can also hear it on, I really want to get into the HBCU schools, and so I'm on Sirius XM HBCU channel 142. So I don't want the African American community to be left out in that supposedly entrepreneurial spurge that's in 18 to 34. Like Silicon Valley, you hear about technology. One of the things that has frustrated me over the years is that the minority community always seems to be left out or don't get the respect in the technology or the STEM platforms out there. And so I really am pushing this in the direction. And my services are free on my radio show.
Wow.
I don't, you don't have to pay for my podcast. You don't have to pay for listening to my radio show.
Amazing.
And it's because of the fact that it was really interesting how the millennial generation has gravitated to me. I'm like their uncle, and I'm willing to give information because they look at my resume and it's real. And so just to give further detail about what it is, it's about entrepreneurship and entertainment. I interview CEOs, I interview celebrities, entrepreneurs, and industry decision makers. Like I had on my show Monday, the mayor of Houston, Sylvester Turner. So I really get engaged, and what they do is give us information about leading a balanced life, which I think is important. Secrets to success, which are tied to the consistency, relationship, and goal planning.
It's like people are sitting through a 2-hour TED Talk every week.
Absolutely. With different people.
Well, name drop for us.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. It's really interesting. There's 2 guests that were really interesting on my show recently. Bishop T.D. Jakes, who has an amazing book called Soar. And his parents were both entrepreneurs. And so when people go, why is he doing all these things? Well, his mom was basically a real estate mogul in West Virginia. His dad had a cleaning business. And then this young lady, 20, Jacqueline Carr. She's a gospel singer out of Arkansas.
I love her.
And so she has this book called You Can Win. I'm going like, what does a 20-year-old know about winning.
A lot.
A lot. And so
She
because
was inspiring us.
she's amazing. And so that's what the show brings. Because when you make your decisions in life, whatever you make whatever kind of income you're generating in your 40s or 50s is based on what you learn and do in your 20s.
Yes.
Your 30s is just the time period that you build your resume out. So you can make money in your 40s and 50s. But the goal is for the hype in your resume to become one. And that's what money making conversation is, giving you the plan to be successful with believable goals.
I like that.
It's not hype, it's goals.
Amazing. And that's the most important part, to have something substantial to hold on to.
That's true. That's very true.
What sort of substance would you say you offer to your listeners in terms of how to deal or how to engage in today's economic climate?
This is what I want to tell people. Okay, we have different age groups out there. And I always tell people, first of all, if you're 50 or 60, stop saying you're done. Okay, don't look at the 65 as your, oh, I can jump off. I can relax, because it doesn't work anymore, because technology has changed the game.
Yes.
And also people should stop beating up on millennials by saying they're entitled, they have an entitlement personality. Look, they grew up in technology. I grew up with a rotary dial telephone.
What's that?
You know, took me all day long to dial 911.
If I know what that is, you know what that is.
Okay, fair enough.
And that's amazing what we realize that. So that back in the day conversation shouldn't happen to people who have technology.
Yes.
We have a group of people, and the iPhone is roughly 10 years old. Okay, we have another group of people who grew up entirely in the internet era. So that means information comes to them quickly. Let me just show you something, talk to you something about, like Emma Gonzalez. That's the young lady who's unfortunately in the gun violence situation in Florida. She has 1.3 million social media followers.
Wow.
She's a brand. It used to be a brand was Apple. Used to be a brand was IBM. A brand was Ford. Brands are now walking, talking people who socially, look what happened, Kylie Jenner. She makes a note about Snapchat, stock drop.
Stocks plummet.
You know, same thing with Rihanna.
Yes.
That's the power has shifted. So when you start talking about millennials who are entitlement, the game has changed. Everybody on social media, your social media is basically your daily press conference. You don't have to tell anybody or call anybody. You just post. And people should understand that your brand value should be achieved by how you give it to everybody.
But what are you doing that makes you, as you've been called the mentoring voice for the millennial generation, what are you doing differently that gives you that title?
Well, first of all, my resume is real. And again, I am bored out in the social media generation. You can just Google me, and then you can see my history. First of all, education. You know, I can say that because of the fact that my degree is in math. You can say that because of the fact that my corporate training is IBM. I was a sitcom writer. And so each layer is legitimate and laid out. I didn't just jump around and say, was he kind of successful there? No, I've had the success. Work with State Farm, work with Ford, work with all these corporations, JCPenney's, outlining plans for success that they trusted. Global brands, you know, Home Depot. So these allows the individual to come to me, and you can question me, you can challenge me. That's the goal. That I am an open book.
Well, that's the mark of a great teacher, one that you can actually challenge, that doesn't take offense to any question.
And I think that that's what annoys me sometimes when I listen to people. What is your resume? Why are you giving people advice? What's in your bank account?
Where are your receipts?
There you go.
I like that.
And people don't have them. And so I just, I'm not here to brag. I'm just here to tell people, when you come to money making conversation, I have value that will allow you to grow. I have information that I can teach you. It's for free because I'm making myself available as a mentor.
And why did you decide to make this available via radio as opposed to TV appearances?
Well, I'm just telling you, it started on my Facebook page. So every Monday, I would at 1 o'clock, I would take questions, and it was supposed to be for an hour, but of course it would be like 2 or 3 hours because people would respond back to me. So they would respond, I would respond back to them. So it was like a 3-hour period. And like I told you, I was just doing it for 4 weeks in Houston, Texas, and it just has continued to grow. And I didn't realize at first it was like totally celebrity driven, and because I was just trying to give me some hype.
It was.
Patti LaBelle, Charlie Wilson, you know. All keep it real. Yeah, keep it real. Said you can entertain her. I'm trying to blow up here. I'm trying to blow up the team. Okay, then I looked at my staff. I go, what am I doing? What am I doing? Who am I helping here? And I realized I just changed the format and really went to the entrepreneurial side. And then the engagement came from the fact that I brought back the entertainment, because that's a natural question.
When you think about the topics, what specifically are you focusing on? Like stocks and bonds?
Oh, no, I don't go there.
Wealth and creation? What?
I would tell you, I strictly talk about small business entrepreneurial values, because I don't get into your financial crisis unless you're trying to do a business plan. Business plans are important. That should be the number. That's your Bible if you're trying to start a business. If you don't have a business plan, why are you out there talking about you have a business? And people do that all the time. Because they just see our choice about $10. $10. What about the taxes? What about the health plan? What about the
you know what they say? When you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
And you will fail without a business plan. And so
I'm gonna have to stop you there because we have to take a short break.
Okay, cool. Because I'm on the road.
I know.
We want to keep you on the road. We want to keep you here because we have a lot more questions.
Absolutely. We are loving getting all these insights from you. But don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with more Rise 360 and, of course, Rushion McDonald.
Thank you.
You're doing great.
Oh, thank you.
I'm getting all this information.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Then think Zenith, one of the biggest in Nigeria, with assets over $16 billion, listed among the 20 most influential brands in the world, and winner of Best Bank in Corporate Governance. The most customer-focused bank in Nigeria, a success built on 3 foundations, dedicated to people, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Welcome back to Rise 360. We're still hanging out with Rushion McDonald. He's giving us amazing nuggets and wisdom about not only his show, but also your life and your career.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's go back for a bit of a minute, rather. Think about all the way back. You see, I got the fishing rod. Now, take us back from the journey of growing up in the 5th Ward of Houston, Texas, to where you are today, being the megastar business mogul.
Okay, here's the deal. 5th Ward is an inner city in Houston, Texas. I grew up with 6 sisters, 2 brothers, 1-bedroom shotgun house. My father was a truck driver. My mom, maybe a 3rd grade education. And my mom, she finished high school. And so I am that person that people tell you is not going to make it. Not because I sold drugs, people would just write you off. You're in the inner city, your father doesn't have an education beyond high school. He didn't finish elementary school, basically. So, but I had people who believed in me. I call them bumps. Everybody has a bump. Even here, people have bumped you. When you steered off that track, they told you how great you were. They told you you could be special. Right. These bumps are important, and you should not ignore them because they're the ones that keep you on course. They're the ones that make sure that you understand your value. And so I had these bumps along the way in high school. And when I went to college, people came up to me and said, hey, you're special. Do not ignore that. That's why I always tell people it's terrible when people talk negative to children.
Oh, yes.
Because that's a mind you can shape. That's a mind that's a blank slate. And if you talk positive to them, then they can do anything, whether it's athletics or academics. And so that's how you're looking at a guy who came from that environment. And so when I went to college, guess what? It took me 7 years to graduate because guess what? I went to the party. And I realized that, guess what? Parties don't get degrees. And so after my 4th year, I decided to get serious. And then I developed what I discovered right then was short-term goals. And it's important that people understand that because when people start setting goals, they tend to be so far out, whether it's a college degree or a business, and you need to do short-term goals. Short-term goals can be very simple. Friends that are not in your life positively, get rid of them.
Oh, that's, okay.
Seriously.
Are we talking about short term as in 3 months, 6 months, or right now?
Right now. I mean, it's people in your lives emotionally, or you're dating them. You should get rid of these people.
Right.
You know, there are people out there that clean out your backyard, clean out your house, clean out your garage. These are goals that you can control. Once you put a goal in place, it will make you feel good. Do not underestimate what I'm saying. You need to feel good today to be successful.
Absolutely.
Next week. If you don't do these things, guess what? That junkie garage is going to be there, and it's going to bring you down emotionally. That best friend that you call your best friend, who always has that negative spirit, will bring you down emotionally.
Well, speaking of the goals, the short-term or long-term goals, how did you go from being an executive at IBM to being a stand-up comedian? Was that one of your goals?
Well, no, it wasn't. Here's another thing. I want to talk about fear. I want to talk about fear and change.
Right.
Because this stops a lot of people. That's why people are still in jobs they don't like. Fear to change, because the thing about your lifestyle that you have, there are no guarantees. And not saying that I'm trying to say anything negative, but if you go to work at an IBM, you go to work to the Fortune 500, you pretty much feel that job's going to be around as long as you do good work. That's not necessarily the case in the entertainment business. So there's a lot of fear of change. And so as a stand-up comic, that was the ultimate challenge for me. And I started in college on a lark. You know, Sam Kinison, if people are familiar with that name, I did stand-up comedy with him, Bill Hicks, Brett Butler, Jerry Seinfeld when I was in New York, George Wallace. John Stewart knows me, Dennis Leary knows
We'll just set it up like this. You competed as the funniest man in America and lost to Ellen DeGeneres. That's pretty impressive. If there's anybody who's going to lose to, I would take it. That's a trophy in itself.
Happily.
Oh, yeah. Y'all know some
If you
interesting
lose
things
to
about me.
Ellen DeGeneres, you're not a loser.
No. Just to be in the
second best comic in the world.
to be in the same camp with her is amazing.
Tell us that story.
Well, here's the deal. It was that you know, when you're in life, you really don't appreciate your efforts until you look back. I always tell people, take the time, and that's something that Jacqueline Carr in my interview who taught me, learn to celebrate your success. That is something that I have not done consistently in my life. You need, whether celebrate your success, should be birthdays, anniversaries, moments of achievement, so you can look back and calculate your future to a level of positivity. That's all this interview is about.
Yeah, because you're so busy getting caught up in the moment and getting to that next success, you don't have time to focus on the success.
When I talk about things like this, you know, losing to Ellen DeGeneres, I won the best comic in Texas 3 years in a row. I was working at IBM in the daytime doing stand-up comedy at night. After I lost to her that third year, I decided to leave and pursue a career as a stand-up comic. But I'm going to tell y'all something interesting about that. The year before I had went up to New York, I'm from Houston, I was doing stand-up comedy in Houston. I went to New York and I went on stage and killed. They was talking about, you the next star, because I had nothing to lose. I was still working at IBM. When I quit IBM and I went up to New York, I was afraid to make mistakes. I started saying, maybe they want me to be this type of comic. Maybe they want me to be this type of comic. In the end, I say to that, be yourself. That way, if you lose, you can fix you.
Absolutely.
Well, it worked for you because you were able to work with Steve Harvey of all people.
That was the same year that you met him and then formed a partnership that would last 30 years.
Very much so. You know, and the thing about it is that the same person you see here was the same person he met. I'm a person that shares my abilities to be successful to anybody. And that's what he took away with. I gave him some marketing tips, and he lived and died with that. And in 2000, he'd always ask me for advice over the years. In 2000, he asked me to manage him, and we forged a relationship which became the world-renowned brand it is today, and built my career as one of the phenomenal executive producers and entertaining advisors in branding marketing.
And now you're still helping people build their careers and brand themselves through your show, Money Making Conversations. Tell us where we can catch it real quick.
Money Making Conversations on 3 platforms. Facebook, Money Making Conversation. Instagram, Money Making Conversation. Twitter, Money Making Conversation. There's no I am or who is he or the number one. No. Money Making Conversation. Just like my Rushion McDonald's on Twitter, Rushion McDonald's on Facebook, Rushion McDonald's on Instagram. And we hadn't even talked about my baking, but that's another show.
That's another story for another day.
Definitely come back and bring some of your baked goods.
I would do that. I would bring some bacon. I promise you. Thank you so much,
Thank you so much, and we'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.